All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the NFL Main Slate Show here on the Ship It Nation YouTube station. Make sure to tap that thumbs up on the way in, hit the subscribe. All our shows are free on this channel. Got Title here with me, got Hoopster as always, and Hoop, I'll bring you in first, man. It's a fun week. We've had the Thanksgiving slate. I could have, by the way, won the Millie Maker with Mahomes. I did try. It did not work out, but I could have got it done. Mahomes was actually needed, what do you know, on a short slate. But what's going on, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Somewhat, I guess, rough start so far. I mean, the Lions look like complete ass on Thanksgiving and get completely, I'd say, dusted. I mean, they look terrible. And then had some Eagles exposure in some key spots in the Survivor world, and they looked absolutely terrible. So hopefully things turn around a little bit here on Sunday. We got a big prize pools, obviously, like every Sunday. An interesting slate where a lot of the main big offenses are off the main slate because they're either Thanksgiving Day or Friday, and then we still have prime time as well. So it's kind of like all the crappy offenses are left for this Sunday main slate. And I think it's probably confusing people in terms of what to do for DFS. I think we're going to see some weird ownership at like the quarterback position and some other spots. So we'll talk through it all. But yeah, excited to be here. Week 13? It's moving along quite quickly.
It is, yeah. And, a couple things on that. I'm going to bring Title in just 1 second. But like I said, it's been a rough week for the Ship It Nation boys and our teams and whatnot. Your Lions, Title obviously had a lot invested in that Eagles spot. That didn't work out, unfortunately. The Ravens took the L. Our man Alex Blickel on the Saturday show, the Eagles are his squad, so that hurt him as well. Like, it was just, we got to get it all back. So far, Title, been a bit of a rough go, but we're back. We got a full Sunday ahead. Sunday night football, Monday night football. Got a lot of action still to go. What's going on, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, it hasn't been the best week so far, but free money Sunday, always blessed waking up to a full slate of football ahead. I mean, prizes are massive. It's not like the most appealing slate by any means. I could argue it's one of the grossest slates I've actually seen in a long time, but prizes are the same. Everyone's working with the same information, and there's money to be made. So 10 games, 3 in the afternoon, the highest total, 45.5. So yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing like the 250, 260s up top to win it. I think it'll take a lot less than that. But I'm really excited to go through this slate game by game, talk through it, because I obviously have my takes and my stances right now, but I'm all ears on a lot of spots too. I can be swayed because it's hard to feel really comfortable about certain spots.
Yeah, I think it's they talk about the chalk being super fragile. This is definitely one of those weeks. We'll talk through the chalk, how you can play it differently, different ways to attack these games as we go game by game. But before we get into it, real quick breakdown. Hoop mentioned it is week 13. Bring my man Title in here first before I talk over everything, but hopefully you guys can hear me. So we're here. Real quick, just want to note, because Ship It Games is winding down. We've had a ton of fun with this all season long. It's week 13. You can still get involved. This is kind of the last best chance, though, meaning you could obviously get in like even the last week. You could join it. Got to say a big congrats to our guy Sharks who put this in for us. But just going back to it here, the promotions right now with Black Friday extended. So just real quick, and make sure you can hear me on this, but the $49 a month, if for just the content only, if you don't need SaberSim or you're not using an optimizer right now, for $49, this will get you in through the finale of Ship It Games. Obviously, that's the free roll portion of it, a chance to play for $85,000 in cash and prizes. But if you want to check out any of these promotions, for just $20 more, you get SaberSim with the football only package, or you can just do the rest of season, including playoffs and including Super Bowl, for $119 or $167. All those are on the site. You can see them up there now. If you look behind this on the top, you can just click the 167. If you go to Join the Nation, it's right here for you guys, just so you know, and we'll move on under single sports, 49 or 69 with SaberSim, 119 rest of season, playoffs through Super Bowl, or 167 with SaberSim, and that gets you in the Ship It Games prize pool where you play for up to $85,000 in cash and prizes. So hopefully that helps. Hoop, anything else you want to add there, man? If not, give us your grand scheme overview. We talked about weather. We talked about 10 games. late swap, things like that. Anything else you want to add here before we move on?
No, in terms of the deal, I mean, you're not going to be able to find a better, more affordable price in the industry. It gets you all the way through. And talked about it on the Friday show where a lot of smaller slates come up here throughout the end of the season. We get the Christmas Day slate. You have the Saturday slates that'll start up as well, and those roll into the playoffs. So the number of slates increases here from here on out, essentially. So you're definitely getting your money's worth with that 167 all the way through the Super Bowl. So now is very good time to get in. In terms of the slate, I think you definitely just start at the quarterback position because you're going to pull it up and say, oh my, who do I want to play here? And I think that definitely does lead to things getting pretty spread out. It always gets spread out at quarterback. We always talk about that. Even when something looked very obvious, it gets spread out. Everyone kind of gets a little bit of each quarterback. And I think we're looking at even more of that today. And there are definitely a few that stand out to me. So when we go through the games, make sure to kind of hit on those. At the running back position, I think that's where we kind of see the most popular play on the slate emerge, Achane, and rightfully so. It's a really good spot. He's cheap on a DK at 8,300. His ownership's looking big. And, I guess number 2 or 3 would be Kenneth Walker. I think that's maybe somewhat of a fragile play, which we'll get to. Wide receiver, pretty wide open. It's kind of been the same at wide receiver. You get a couple of those guys at the top this week. It's JSN and Puka. They're expensive, but we have a lot of value, so it's going to be relatively easy to fit them in. And then there's just a lot of other guys in the pool at tight end. Again, we talked about it on the Friday Cash Show. They finally got Trey McBride where he belongs. And I guess you could even argue he could be even more expensive, but this is the first week where I think people look at it and say, man, I'm not paying the 78. I'm paying the 4K or 4,500 for somebody else. And his ownership's looking, definitely under 10%, 6-7 range, which is a little bit crazy for the clear best tight end in the game. A lot of people are just going to go cheaper at that position. So that's kind of the position by position overview. You look at these games, the cumulative number of points when you factor in the total is probably the lowest it's been on a main slate all season. All the premier games are off the main slate. So, do you build for a lower scoring slate? That's definitely a conversation that we'll touch on as well as we go through the slate here. But excited to dive into it with you guys here.
Yeah, Title, anything you want to add on that front, man? And then once you get through sort of what you're thinking, you can just take us right into the very first game. We're going to start with the Rams at the Panthers.
Yeah, no, really not much more to add. Hoop always does a great job there. Quarterback, a lot of people are going to spend down. You don't really have many spend up options. Josh Allen. But yeah, when we get to their spot there, he's without a lot of good pieces, some tackles, good defense. It's troubling there. As far as weather, we have 2 games that I'm seeing some orange. San Fran, Cleveland is orange. That totals continue to go down. Winds can gust up to 35. So that game's gross. And then yellow orange for Atlanta and Jets. People want to spend down at running back. Achane could be 65% owned in smaller field stuff. Tight end, it's McBride, or you have to spend down. And yeah, if you want to spend up this week, it seems like it's the wide receiver position. So got really nothing more to add. Hoop did a good job. Oh, the afternoon late swap stuff. There's really not much ownership in the late window outside a couple guys, and that is the Kenneth Walkers, JSN, Gadsden, maybe a little Bowers. So late swap's always important. You should always be doing it, but it's not a main focal point on this slate. We don't have the chalk games in the afternoon window, which is something to note. First game of the slate, the Rams and Carolina. Jump into it right away with the biggest favorites in the Rams. They're implied for the most points on the slate at 28 as well. Puka, we just talked about wanting to spend up or having the ability to spend up at wide receiver. Him or JSN, I really don't have a strong lean. I want to play both. You get $500 savings with Puka. I think if I had to pick one, I'm going JSN just because anytime he drops back, Darnold that is, it's JSN, whereas Devontae, there's a little more competition, but nothing bad to say about Puka, nothing bad to say about Devontae. Stafford has a better price on FanDuel than DraftKings, so I think he's a little easier to stack over there. It's still fine on DraftKings, but man, 7K is a big price without any rushing upside. So I'm kind of indifferent to him on DraftKings, prefer him on FanDuel. A little tougher for me to get to Kyron nowadays. Devontae's getting all red zone targets. Blake Corum's involved a decent bit. So I think it's really Puka, Devontae, and then yeah, I have a little interest in Ted on the other side, especially if they're trailing a bunch. I think you can skinny stack it pretty easily that way. So yeah, just a couple of the main receivers, my favorite pieces in this game.
Yeah, one of the things I'll note for sure, Hoop, as I kick it over to you, is the obvious of like, we'll get to JSN later. He's 9,500 on DraftKings, Puka at 9K. After that, the funny part is the drop-off is to 7,500 to his partner in crime, the touchdown king, Devontae Adams. So it's like the way the slate goes, you only really have the two pay-up wide receivers. Now you've got guys at running back. You've got who you talked about earlier, McBride, who you could play as a 2 tight end because he's basically a wide receiver 1, even with Marv coming back. Who knows how that gets handled. But Kyron Williams, the chat's talking about him on this slate, sure. And I love it for tournaments, large field. But man, with Adams there, with the way they go after it, as far as trying to get, it seems like at least they're trying to get Stafford this MVP. So they just want to throw it when they're down there. You can never really fully judge on that. But then you also have Corum who gets involved. It's like, I get it. And from a tournament perspective, I'm going to have some Williams, but it's a hard click when you're just sort of thinking of one-off, but on a slate that might be low scoring, and you want to get that ceiling. If you weren't on one of Puka or Adams or on that stack, I guess that would be the way I would think about it. Tet on the other side, kind of the only real guy I'm interested in there. What do you got with this one, Hoop?
Yeah, really not too much more to add. I mean, kind of in agreement with all the points you guys made. I mean, I will have some Kyron because I'm playing 150 lineups. Like if I was not playing 150 lineups, I'd probably have none. Like if I was making 10 lineups, I don't think he'd make his way in. If I was making 20 lineups, like maybe he'd make his way in, but it is difficult. I mean, they're clearly pushing this Matthew Stafford thing, which is fine because it's working out quite well. I mean, he's playing phenomenal football. They're scoring touchdowns every time they get down there, but it's Stafford essentially passing the ball to usually Devontae Adams or Puka, and they're going to let him make these decisions too. Like Stafford is probably the one that is allowed to make the changes at the line of scrimmage, and he knows what's going on. I mean, he definitely knows what's up. So there is risk with Kyron. If you're playing 150, I think you do get some, but it is tough if you're hand building. The price is better, like Title said, on draft or on FanDuel for Stafford over DraftKings, but I will have some Stafford on DraftKings, and it's very clear. I mean, Puka, and that's the nice thing about Stafford. It's like, Puka, Devontae, these tight ends. I mean, he could throw to a random tight end. We really don't have to factor that in all that much. And then it's just, Ted on the other side. I don't even really like Rico here. I mean, this Ravens team just looks to be like the best in the NFL. Their defense is smothering offenses right now. Chuba Hubbard did get a little more work last week than I kind of anticipated. So really out on those two, Stafford, Puka, Devontae, some Kyron, and then Tet on the Panthers side, and that's it.
Do you guys have any lean on Puka and JSN? I mean, the 500 obviously, but it's a conversation.
Yeah, I can tell you what I was just going to say too, because it actually ties into that, is Puka fits a lot easier. Like if you look at most of the common builds, he's going to fit a lot easier. And I guess that's the one that's projecting better. The ownership looks higher, all of that. We'll definitely talk about this later. I have a ton of Kenneth Walker and Seahawks D like everybody else. But at the same time, on some of my hand builds or like my 555 milli maker, I'm looking at like, okay, I'm just going to get JSN and not play Walker, because it's like, that's going to be the difference. If it's not going to be that way, it's not as much as like if Charbonnet or someone like that gets it, of course that would hurt him, but it's going to be a spot. It's already a great spot, and every spot's a great spot for JSN. So why not continue to play the guy that's on pace to have like Calvin Johnson-esque season? They were showing it today. He needs to average just because it's JSN, just 119 yards per game average on the way out, and he beats Calvin Johnson's season. It's like, that's insane how good he's playing, and his bad games look like his good, look like other players' ceiling games. That's the craziest part. Brahman 6 foot, not 6'7", 6'8" over here. One upping the younger generation. Brahman says Stafford +3. I do think the real interesting thing about this is more on draft. I know, like you said, Stafford more affordable on FanDuel, and it is a touchdown dependent site. So to be honest, you could do it on both, but because Puka's only 93 versus 9K on DraftKings. So for every little difference in price, it's still fine. But on DraftKings, if you go Stafford, Puka, Devontae, and Parkinson, you don't even really need to run it back. I mean, these guys might just put up 30 on the road and walk out of there and take the W like they've been doing. And the thing about Parkinson is people say, oh, he's touchdown dependent, all of that. You need guys to get there. Like it doesn't, again, if it doesn't work out or it doesn't happen, it just made everything else fit and work. But at least it gave you the chance to correlate with Stafford to get that upside and then you hope that it works out. He gets you 4 catches and a touchdown, but it's Puka with the big game and the bonus and a touchdown, and Adams gets 1 or 2. There's your 4 for Stafford. And those are ifs, sure. And that'd be a huge game, but that's what you're going to need to take down a tournament. So to me, it all makes sense to put it together. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine. But I don't even think you need to run it back. I like Tet on the other side, but I think you can just play these Rams and not try and figure out which Panther it is this week. I don't know if Title, if you have anything else you want to add on the Puka side of things there, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I've continued to play JSN. He was 8% last week. Like the first read, it's always JSN where there's more competition on the other side. So for that reason, I think I'm leaning JSN. I have nothing wrong if you're playing Puka. The only thing for me is, man, is it too much to play Devontae and Puka at the price and spend up at QB when you're doing it? And then adding Parkinson? I don't know. It's a low scoring slate. Maybe if they just do put up 30.
That's the key. And a good thing I was going to say, too, it also depends on how you build out the rest. But obviously, there's a ton of good running backs in the 5,500 to 65, whatever range you want to put on it. It involves some of those guys. One of the more interesting things, though, I think would be to do kind of what you just said, whether you're thinking it or not. It's just say, like, if you went Stafford, it's still paying up for 2. But if you went Stafford, Adams, Parkinson, and
I'd
then
rather
got
that.
ASN.
I'd rather that, I think.
Moved off some of those guys. That'd be another interesting way to do it because how many people are going to have that? And most that have Stafford would have Puka. So just, again, talking through the potential ways you could get different on this slate. Spend a lot of time here, but I think when a team has a almost 30-point team total on the road on this slate, I can promise you there's going to be some faster games, and this might be one of them. Coming up next, Hoopster, I'll go to you on this one. 49ers at the Browns. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so this is the big weather game. I mean, 25-mile-an-hour winds, gusts up to around 35. It's going to be cold. The totals dropped almost a touchdown, opened up at 41 down to like 35.5, 36. Cleveland's defense is really good, which we saw last week. I mean, obviously a little bit different going against the Raiders offense, but they looked really good. Myles Garrett is an absolute stud. And they're at home where their defense has been good all season long against even pretty good teams. So this is not a good spot to come for fantasy options. I think both defenses firmly in play here. But I do like McCaffrey. I mean, if Purdy is not going to be able to throw the ball downfield, and again, these are substantial wins, but it's not like wins where it's going to like totally wipe out any passing game. They're still going to take some shots. I think you just see a ton of dump offs to McCaffrey, and then if he finds the end zone, it's a full smash. The price is better on FanDuel. He's in the mid 8s on FanDuel. DK at 93, I think is definitely still fine. Ownership's not going to be crazy on him. So for me in this game, it's really just and maybe some Kittle. I'll throw Kittle in there as well. But the defense is McCaffrey and maybe some Kittle, and that's it.
Yeah, it's really expensive for CMC, but like you said, not on FanDuel specifically, but also it's interesting because all the builds title that, people want to build with this slate, like you can do whatever, whether it's your Tyrod cheap builds or whatever else it looks like, all those pretty much lean to going still to Puka because they probably have Walker and they don't want to go to JSN and then they go to Puka and they don't go to CMC. I don't know or think, I guess I don't think it's a Purdy day. But all I can think about here, and it could work for Kittle instead of McCaffrey. They're both, noted on the stone, and probably for this reason. But all I can think about is Myles Garrett, just sacks. So get the ball out quick, and who's going to be open to get the ball out to? Like, what if McCaffrey gets 10 catches on top of everything else he already does, on top of when they get down there, and you name it? What's your thoughts on McCaffrey here in the spot? I like what Hoop said, both defenses, but just how you're thinking about this game.
I don't love it. I really don't think I want to lean into a game that's continued to drop, that's sitting at like 36.5, that's going to be slow. I respect Cleveland's defense very much. I think with Shedeur making his first home start, they're going to try and want to slow the game down. Purdy's looked awful. I mean, there's no two ways around that. He's really struggled to move the football, throw it to his own guys. I could see McCaffrey touching the ball 30 times, but it could be for 3.8 a pop. And then how many catches is he getting? Yeah, I mean, the price is better on FanDuel, but it's half-point PPR versus full point. Like, give me JSN, give me Puka. I know Achan's way more popular, but I'm in agreement with it. So it's really just the defenses for me. If the weather game that has 30-plus mile-an-hour winds at times beats me, that's fine.
One of the rare instances, too, I would say, at least from my opinion, that I would even though the price discounts on McCaffrey on FanDuel, I actually kind of like it better on DraftKings because he splits the difference on the two high-priced wide receivers, $9K and $9,500. And I do want him to get 10 catches if it's going to really pay off. And I still don't even know if it will, to your point, because what if the rush attempts don't do anything or doesn't get the TDs or whatever that might end up looking like? So could be a really low-scoring game. Going into the dog pound, I talk about this forever because as a Ravens fan and following the AFC North, we see a ton of good teams go in there and lose, let alone, or at least play a much tougher game. So I like both defenses, as you mentioned. Title, I will stay with you. Everything you just said about McCaffrey, not fully, but could kind of apply to Jonathan Taylor. I just talked about this in the Discord. He's almost 10K on this slate. People are talking about, nobody wants him in the dome, things like that. I think it's kind of reminiscent a little bit of last week where he can have in this week specifically, he could have 100 yards and a touchdown and it may still not be needed on this slate. His props are lower than some of the other, outside of his minus 200 TD. There's many that are very close to that though. The rest of his props are close to a lot of those other running backs, even as low as some of the guys in the 7K range.
Yeah, it's a really tough matchup. There's no doubt. And the fractured fibula, I don't love them when my quarterbacks might be limping around out there and not offering any rushing upside. With all that being said, I'm definitely JT over McCaffrey today. I'd rather find the 500 minus 140 McCaffrey to score minus 230 JT. So a little better there. He has almost 20 more yards on the ground rushing prop wise. Again, it's just the weather versus I get a guy in the dome. That's really good. Now, with all that being said, you don't have to play JT by any means. I probably won't play too much JT. I like Tyler Warren and Alec Pierce as my two favorite Colts, 5,200, 4,800. If you're not playing McBride at tight end, people will go Gadsden more than Warren right in that range, or they want to fully spend down. We know the upside he has. That we got the report this morning. They're optimistic he plays. So I think Warren is good. I think Pierce, the downfield ability, he's just been involved a lot. So that's one way to get it. The Texan stuff is really concerning for me in the fact of is it really CJ Stroud that's going to be chalk today? And again, chalk in quotes, it gets spread out in tournaments, but he's definitely top two highest owned on the slate. I think Nico Collins is a good price tag. People will go to Schultz for cheap at tight end. I do like Jaden Higgins. He'll get some ownership too. He's probably my favorite actually at 3,900. Good rapport, he had a good rapport with Mills. Hopefully CJ gets on the ball too, but he overtook Hutchinson the past couple of weeks. He's open. He looks good. Big body. I really like that price tag if we need some value. I'm struggling though with CJ Stroud. If he's going to be 15, 16, 17%, it's CJ Stroud's first game back at the end of the day against a good defense on the road, implied for 21 points. I get we play a salary-based game, but yeah, I think there's other spots I want to go, seeing Houston be pretty chalky.
Yeah, one of the things about this one, Hoop, is the setup of first off, Jonathan Taylor, I think if you wanted to play him as a way to get different with your Stroud lineups and then overstack the Stroud side, because I have a lot of people that have reached out to me, very sharp players that are there's no way I'm playing CJ Stroud this week. So it's funny that it could somewhat keep it in check. And then will people overstack it? Maybe not, but that would be a way to get different with it. The Warren Q tag holding up, even though we expect him to go and it was just an illness thing. That's kind of interesting to your point, Title, because he's squeezed between the people that are deciding to go all the way up, which is not many, where most are staying 4,500 or below. So that solves that. And then the other thing, Hoop, I was going to kick to you is the pass D for the Colts. If you got the Stone, you can see it's obviously not that great, but also they've had some stuff they picked up Sauce, who people still hate on. And I get it. They can say whatever you want, but then getting Ward back, all of that. Maybe there is an opportunity here that this is a spot where Stroud and these guys can come through. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I got some definitely concerns with this game overall. With Daniel Jones having this injury, it sounds like it's a legit injury. Adam Schefter could face issues with lateral movement. I don't want that against this Texans defense. So to me, it seems pretty clear the Colts are going to try to jam it with Jonathan Taylor. And maybe it works out. Jonathan Taylor's been phenomenal this year, so it definitely could work out. But I just think this game overall just gets slowed down so much with Jonathan Taylor rushes. Texans defense is solid. I don't know if the Colts are going to be able to push the ball down the field at all. And then, if you're talking about Stroud being popular on the other side, which is the case, and it will get spread out, but he's looking like one of the more popular guys at the quarterback position. Why? We've seen this guy. It hasn't been there DFS fantasy-wise for a year and a half. So I have a lot of concerns with this overall. With all that being said, I'm going to play some Jonathan Taylor for sure. He's coming in at low ownership. He's nuked like 6 slates this season in matchups where people don't really see it coming. I'm not playing Daniel Jones, that's for sure. I mean, I'll have some Pittman, I'll have some Pierce, I'll have some Tyler Warren, not a ton. On the Texans side, playing 150 lineups, I am going to have some Stroud for sure, but I don't love it. And it's definitely going to be in check. Like, I'm not playing like 25% CJ Stroud today. It's going to be held in check. Agree with title. My favorite part is definitely Higgins. And then I think Schultz is fine. And then some Nico Collins. If I was somebody that was playing single entry or 3 lineups or 5 lineups, I think this is a great spot to fade. Like the CJ Stroud stuff, I think is a phenomenal spot just to fade. Hope it gets even more inflated in terms of ownership. And then you find like a different spot to go. It's not like this is like they're projected to score 30 points. Like I need exposure to this offense. They're projected to score, 20, 21 points. So right around like 3 touchdowns. So if this is a spot everyone wants to go, like I think you look elsewhere. With all that being said, like I said, I'm playing 150 lineups. I will have some of it, but I definitely don't love it.
Yeah, when I'm here, I'm overstacking it. Like I said, I think what's interesting is, first off, I'll take unders on popular sites ownership on Stroud. I don't think it's going to happen because I don't see it. Like it could be 15 instead of 17. I get it. I'm just saying my point is I've heard everybody say if this is going to be popular, I don't want it. I don't see everybody rushing to plug in the Higgins, Collins, Schultz. Nobody wants to play JT. I think both defenses are interesting, but I'm just saying, I think if I'm playing it, I want to have like Stroud, Collins, Higgins, Schultz with JT on the other side and then see what happens. Otherwise, I don't mind having something like a Texans D or a Jonathan Taylor with Colts D or something like that. If I'm playing JT, I want to play it in a way where it really sets me apart. He himself can do it, but I want it to be like that O-line is already very good. And then it bleeds into the defense helping out and then putting him in the prime position, then get more payoff that way. Or he speeds things up on the ground, and then it is just Stroud throwing the ball to the common guys he has. And they only cost $6,700, $3,900, $3,800. So if I'm doing it and I am in like 150 stuff specifically, I'm getting all the way in on it, or else I'm not just playing around with like one-offs and things like that. It's either it does or it doesn't. And that's how I kind of want to play slates that I think are going to be lower scoring as well. I'm fine with it from that perspective. So anything else? Anything else there, boys? If not, all right, Hoop, I'll go back to you then. This is another one. You mentioned the Achane ownership earlier. I will not take unders on that one. I can tell you that one is very accurate, and I can see that being a case for good reason. But there's, this game, I think you really have to think about how to get different within it because there's enough options, and sort of everyone is being talked about. Darren Waller back. It's if it's going to be a low scoring slate, do we want Taysom Hill, who could just get all those carries at 2,700 and, he had 10 rushes or something last week? You've got Olave who's going to give it a go. You got all these different opportunities on both sides. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, so the Miami side, Achane, big talking point. I mean, it's going to be the highest owned on the slate. It's really hard to poke holes into it. I mean, there's so many different ways to get there. Like, he's gotten there in games where they've been getting their ass kicked down like 3 touchdowns. So there's like no game script that he's out of. And now you get like probably their best game script that they're going to have for the rest of the season. At home, favored by 6, if it does play out like that. Yeah, at home, favored by a touchdown. He gets all the work, passing work. I mean, just a phenomenal play. But what if it's not him full smashing in this game and Miami still has success? It's crazy because this guy sucks, but I love the Tua stuff today. I mean, I think the Tua stuff is a phenomenal where you can even play him with Achane too. So you don't even really have to alter really what you're doing. Like if you get in on the Tua stuff, like you can play him with Achane. So like I love sticking with the plan with Achane, playing a lot of him, and then playing Tua, even in single entry. If you're building one team, I don't hate that as a single entry team, Tua with Achane. Now, if you're going to play the Tua stuff without Achane, I love going to Waddle. I think Waddle's a phenomenal play, Tua Waddle. And then getting Waller back does not hurt the situation at all. I mean, people, when he came back, no one really thought he was going to have a big role. I think it was 2 touchdowns in the first game. So adding him is huge. I think Dulcich still has some sort of role, and he's super cheap. So the Tua stuff is probably – I think there's one other spot I prefer a little bit more, but I think the Tua spot is right there, probably my second favorite stack on the slate. Now, in terms of the Saints stuff, Not too much. Like I get the Taysom thing. He's 2,700. So if he finds one touchdown, which is very feasible, like absolutely. And he will be in my player pool. Totally fine with that. Olave, Devin Neal, sure. Throw him in the mix. Like I'm not rushing to play Devin Neal with Kamara out. If I get, if you're playing 150, sure, keep him in the mix. But again, if you're like hand building, like I don't think Devin Neal's the guy I want to click on. But for me, the main part of this game is, still loved Achane. I don't care what his ownership's going to be today. I think he's a phenomenal play, but I really, really like the Tua stuff to go along with it.
Yeah, never seen you sit up in your chair like that so much. You're excited. The chat was in on it. You were pumped up.
It's up, ready to roll.
That's a good breakdown title. Anything you want to add to that one? I like a few of the calls there and just thought process around it. What do you got with this one?
Yeah, that's the slate we got at hand when Hoops rock hard over the Tua Tagovailoa or whatever the heck his last name is. I don't know. It's tough. The Saints side's what's more difficult for me because of Taysom. Like, man, he just ruins everything. And you can play him for sure. The floor is really low though. If he doesn't get in the box, he almost surely busts. He's plus 190 to score though. Like they're starting running back Devin Neal's plus 270. Tyler Shuck, like who knows about this guy at the end of the day? They're still implied for 18 points. I really don't want to be in on the Saints too much, but they're all cheap. Like if you play Shuck, you can play him with Olave. I think Juwan Johnson's a strong play. 4.2K. He hasn't scored less than 10 in 5 straight games? 7, 4, 4, 8, 7 targets. That's good with me at a tight end position. Taysom, I don't really know what I'm doing. 2,700. I mean, the opportunities on the ground have been great. They still have to move the football at the end of the day to get to the red zone, and he has to convert. I probably don't love it. Achane's the best play in the slate. Waddle's the beast. And yeah, I'm going to play some Tua as well. Darren Waller, it is worth noting he's min-price on FanDuel at a position that you want to. I mean, McBride's really expensive over there. Bowers, they price it pretty well. Like legit 6 points could be on the winner today at a onesie position at tight end at min-price if the position busts and it gets you everything else. So interesting there.
Said the Hawk Tua? This guy's rock hard over there for Tua. And Tua got good initials, double T. Tyler on the other side of that game. This might be right up my alley. I kind of like it. Our man Jordan Newens talked about the Saints and the stack rankings. This is definitely a game where you got to be able to play pieces from both sides. And if you like it, sometimes the answer is just to put it all together. I think if I'm doing like a mini, one of the things like a way to get different and cut in the slice and dice with Achane would be where I would have more interest in Taysom, because it's like, let's just see if we can get those two going back and forth. Whatever low ownership I get on Taysom, it's going to eat into the high ownership of Achane. It can definitely work from both ways. But if I'm stacking it up on the Saints side, I like Olave. I like Juwan Johnson. By the way, I was doing some prop hunting myself out there. This guy's props are big. Did you see Juwan Johnson's props?
I didn't, but he hasn't scored less than 10 in 5 straight games. Like he keeps producing. What are they?
I think it was like almost 60 yards, like receiving. And I was like, what, for a $4,200 tight end on this team? And that was with Olave expected in and his numbers and all that. Check out what you got now. It might be like 55.
I got 40 and a half and plus 370 to score.
40 and a half
on DraftKings.
Really? Let me see this now. What am I smoking here?
I would say if he was 60 and a half, he'd be a lock of all locks.
What am I talking about that? Let me just see this, man. I got 45 and a half. I thought it was higher than that. Maybe I am on something. Oh, whoa. You know who was 64 and a half was his partner in crime there, Olave. That's where I saw the 64 and a half. Okay. Still,
which is pretty good for Olave. I will say with Tambo, like anyone out there, we don't sports bet. This isn't sports betting show, but I mean, the only thing you need to do is price shop. At the end of the day, you can know nothing about anything. And there's professionals that literally if there's 40 cents off on one book versus the rest, you just bet it. Top-down betting. So, like, definitely price shop in any sport that you're betting.
Yeah. I really think it's just a way, like, we know Achane's a good play. If he gets there, people will be crying about it, chalk Achane, etc. Like, he's chalk for a reason. You just got to figure out how to play the rest of it. There's multiple different ways to do it. You can overstack the game. We talked about some secondaries you could use. Any of, like, Vile, Johnson, Hill, any of those guys probably just slice into them no matter what, even if you just want to run a secondary stack. But I think Tua at 4,900, especially if you don't like Stroud at 5K, why would you not have interest in that, right? You can easily do that. So I also think, just looking at it, is it right if you go down, up, is every Stroud, Nico Collins lineup Tua Waddle? 100?
Yeah.
I think so, right? You go down, you go up. Yeah. So every single Stroud Collins lineup would be Tua, Waddle, and that one, could be interesting because I think a lot of people would have like Stroud lineups in that version we talked about earlier, and would probably have Waddle maybe still in there if they didn't have HN or something. So that's a way you could look at it as well. I'm always looking for different angles of attack, but I think that's probably the most interesting. I guess you could put the Miami D with HN as well if you want to just pick on the Saints and not have to pick any of them. But I think it's more likely we see a possibility of it going back and forth. And a lot of people don't want that. It was also brought up yesterday by Blickle. I like this call. Is like the wind that all these different games have. The wind is not the same in Miami. 10 to 50 mile an hour winds when it's in Miami is not the same as 15 to 20 miles an hour in Cleveland, or same type of wind in Cleveland. It's a little bit different that way. So I think looking for some of these stacks, as excited as Hoop was, I think Tua could be a good spot there.
I just wish I knew what the Saints with the Taysom stuff. That's what's tilting me. I mean, it's Taysom ruins a lot of fun.
I think you got to, that's the thing though. The way to have fun with it is to play, and you got to hope for the best and see what happens on these slates. I mean, people just need to get comfortable with that. We talk about it all the time. It's now a cliche saying around the DFS space of like, be comfortable being uncomfortable. I get it. And you talk about it in life and all these different other factors, but for DFS, you have to know, like, if a lineup is dead, it's dead. That's fine. Just put in 150 lineups so one can win. They can't all win. So it's like some of the stuff, as I always say, is going to the pasture. The rest, you're trying to get one to the promised land. And that's kind of the point here. If you get some Taysom in there and it dies, so be it. You move on to the next lineups, and maybe your, Shuck with Olave Johnson lineups come through with HN, and you got those instead. So Hoop, back from bathroom break?
Yes, sir. Ready to roll. Perfect time. We got my two. I had to relieve myself of all the two excitement.
Two excitement, and he had to let her go. All right. Yeah. Another double T quarterback at home. Tyrod Taylor, the Jets at home versus the Falcons. What do you got here with this one?
Not much at all. Breece Hall, think great play. In all formats, he's going to be owned. Totally fine going him. Bijan on the other side, fine with him. Ownership isn't going to be crazy. Kyle Pitts, really cheap on FanDuel again, like low 5K, I think 51, 52, 100. He'll have ownership, but title did say, and we didn't really elaborate on it that much. Darren Waller min priced on FanDuel at tight end, definitely in play over there. It's really just those three individual plays. I'm not playing the quarterbacks here. People are talking about this Mitchell guy. Like, I just don't know. Like, he sucks. I really don't want to play him in, somewhat of a weather situation here. So just going to pretty much stick with Bijan, Breece Hall, Pitts, and then maybe some Mooney, and just get the hell out of this game. Like, it's a nasty one.
Tyler, you're laughing. He said this Mitchell guy, like, who's this guy? What were you laughing at?
Oh, yeah, it was Donnie Mitchell and how he sucks and all that. Like,
he acted like no one ever heard of this guy before. He's like, this Mitchell guy, this random dude. Like, it's just.
I hate people that change their names, though, man. Like, out of nowhere. Like, so he's a Donnie Mitchell. Now all of a sudden he's what, AD Mitchell? Like, I don't get that.
No, I think he's still. I don't think he changed it. I think people just might have.
I think they just
been lazy and said Donnie and just changed.
It's not like Robbie Chosen. This is.
Yeah, I don't think he went to court to change it. I don't know.
I can't get that shit out of my head when people do that stuff.
I think of him for the fumble. Like, he's the clown that dropped. It was on the Colts, and he dropped it at the goal line, and he got shipped after. I don't think he's bad. He's Tyrod's favorite target. There's no doubt about that. 7 targets, 6 targets. The past 2 games. I'm going to play some just for the sense of I hate the value down below. I like Higgins, though. Like, Higgins is my favorite when choosing. But I do think he's probably higher owned than Mitchell. Breece Hall looks pretty strong. His role is still good. If there was ever a spot, like, it's going to be a competitive game. I don't know how many competitive games the Jets have left in really outside of those two, not much. And then Kyle Pitts, Bijan. The problem with Bijan is, man, like, minus 150 to score. We're kind of in the same McCaffrey talk. Like, the props aren't just lining up with the price. The ownership has to moonwalk back a little bit, maybe 10% anytime that's the case. But Tyler Algier just tilts me so hard. Like, this dude's always on the field for no reason. And when I'm paying that much for Bijan, I don't really want to see that. So, yeah, I don't know how much Bijan I'm going to really have today. Pitts, I think's fine. He's just in the then if the problem with that Kirk Cousins now in this Falcons team is if they don't need to throw the ball, they won't. Like last week, they didn't have to, and they will just keep it on the ground, and then your whole Falcons team's busting. So Pitt's cheap on FanDuel, fine on DraftKings. Some slight concern, though, that if they don't need to throw it, they won't.
Pitt's got the similar props to Juwan that we just talked about, so that makes sense. Actually, looking back, Waller, they put props on him now. It's like 23 yards. But again, it's the upside of what if, like Hoop said, when he came back, it's hard to judge it. And you saw what he was capable of doing that first time he came back. Maybe he could do similar today. I think the Bijan stuff reminds me like a cheaper version of the Jonathan Taylor stuff for me here. Like I want to use it to make this thing go. I want him to do something so that we get the Jets. If you're going to play Tyrod, Mechie, Mitchell, those guys, it flips it a couple ways because Breece Hall is super popular. Obviously looks good on paper, but if the Colts can slow him down in any way, shape, or form, and that's the piece of chalk that I'd be more worried about than some of the other stuff. Obviously looks very good on paper, but him and Walker will be extremely popular in all different styles of builds. So the one way to get different in this build is if you're going to play the cheap quarterback and cheap wide receivers to go with it, 4,300, 38, and 36. That's like it costs nothing for three guys, and that's fine. But if you get Bijan on the other side, you could have something then where you have a lineup that's more unique, like a Bijan Achane lineup. And now it's like, okay, that's a couple of ceilings in there. If this is the stack that comes through, there's a piece in Bijan that makes it work. How many would play Bijan and Achane versus one or the other at $200 apart? Little things like that I would look at when I'm building out my lineup. So I think that's a pretty interesting way to do it. On the flip side of that, I would say this is definitely a spot just to slice and dice Breece Hall with the Jets defense. We've seen what Kirk Cousins looks like without Drake London in these spots. It's definitely a spot that you could just say maybe the Jets come through at home and do enough. Maybe that's a way to cut into the Breece Hall ownership, play them against the Falcons and not be on Bijan, Mooney, Pitts, Cousins, any of those guys, and get different that way. Hoop, anything else you want to add there? If not, you can take us into the next one.
No, nothing else really to add. Which one are we going to?
We're going to the Bucs at home. Baker, the Millie Maker at home versus the Cardinals. Is this one going to have you sitting up again too? Because you were cooking earlier. Now you might be baking here with Baker. What we got?
I hope so. I hope this one sits me up in the leaderboards because I'm going to have a lot of it. And I really like it from a DFS perspective. Starting with the Baker stuff, had the AEC joint sprain, whatever the hell that means in his shoulder, but it's going to play. And I assume he's fine. And on a slate where we just don't have a ton of upside at like the quarterback position, I think he does, and he's going to be low owned because of the injury stuff. And I really like him. I like him to Ibuka. I got Tez Johnson, Cade Otton. You can play him in a variety of ways, but I think the reason I like him the most is what I can get on the other side. And Marvin Harrison back, I think he's a fine option. Like before he got hurt, like he was getting, Brissett was thrown to him quite a bit. Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, overpriced where no one wants to play him. So I like this game all around. I'm going to have Brissett as well. Don't really need to worry about the running backs. I'm not playing any of the Cardinals guys. Bucky Irving returns. It could be like a three-headed running back situation with him, White, Tucker. I want no part of that. I hope both teams just air it out and we can sit back and kind of collect. So that's what I'll be playing here. Definitely prefer the Baker side, but I will also have the Jacoby side. And, with Harrison coming back, it's just going to – if Marvin Harrison was out today, like Michael Wilson's ownership is through the roof. Harrison's in. It's going to keep Wilson's ownership in check. And I think they're both fine plays independently. So I get a lot of options here. A lot of different ways to do it. I can overstack. I can, keep it light and just go Baker, Ibuka, and play like Trey McBride or something on the other side and be good. I mean, the key to all this for me is definitely Trey McBride at what undoubtedly will be low ownership just because of the price tag. They finally got him up there. No one wants to do it. Give me the pay up at tight end when everyone's just going to pay down. So this will be a key game for me. I hope the running backs stay out of the equation and it's all passing game. And I think that does have a chance to be the case here today.
Yeah. Title Hoop didn't like Adonai AD Mitchell, but he likes Baker AC Mayfield over there. And that's scaring some people away because Egbuka is kind of the only guy between these two teams that is getting any type of ownership. You already talked about the McBride price boost. I get it. There's tons of cheaper tight ends and quarterbacks you can stack in with their tight ends where it makes it more affordable and makes your lineup look better. But I think both sides of this game are interesting, Title. We've got 2 really good paces. We can see that on the stone. 2 pretty bad pass defenses. Can see that both these quarterbacks like to throw, whether or not, air it out is not what I would call for Brissett. It's usually check down city or, easy completions, but those rack up on a full point PPR site. So whether or not Harrison's likely to be back as it says, and I'm expecting him to play as we all are, but Wilson could still get those catches. He's had a ton of targets back-to-back weeks. McBride can still rack them up. I think this is definitely a really good spot that not many look to be going to. What's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I like it, but I don't love it. The reason I don't love it is with Bucky coming back, I'm a little more worried. I mean, Sean Tucker has been really good. And now they have Bucky Irving. Like, I'm worried. Now Baker's hurt. I am worried that they can just hand the football off a lot more, which would slow this game down. On the other side, it's just adding in Marv is just another body where when you stack Brissett and you pick it wrong, it's lower owned. There's no doubt about that, which I like. I still like Michael Wilson and McBride definitely more than Marv. But if you stack those two up and it's Marvin scoring, like you're pretty much not shipping. So there's just a little more concern that way. But yeah, I like Ibuka is by far my favorite in this game. He's just so good at football. The price is really good. There's nothing bad to say about him. Then it's Michael Wilson and McBride. Props are pretty close on Marv and Wilson. Wilson's like 3 more receiving yards as his prop. Marvin Harrison, a very slightly better touchdown prop. I'm just going to say it's Michael Wilson still. Like, he looks really good at football. His connection's really good with Brissett. Price is still fine. So I like him. McBride at ownership, I'm fine with, but like 18 might not be enough. You really might need 23 plus. It feels like when I play McBride, why would I not just play Brissett? Like, ownership's not really going there. If he fully gets there, it's probably 100 plus and a touchdown. You start with that with Brissett, you feel good at price. So that's kind of how I see it. I'm a little worried with Bucky coming back that they run more. With Marv coming back, it's spread out more. But if I'm playing McBride, I think I want Brissett, and then it's easy to get in this game.
Definitely agree on all that, but the one key one, the factor that stood out to me most, like the McBride thing. If you're playing him, it just makes so much sense because at almost 8K with Brissett, that's kind of, you got to get there that way. And what's interesting about it, when I looked at a lot of my builds coming in, and even yesterday on Leverage Lane, I changed it last minute to say I'll commit to Brissett and McBride, is not as much as you think would come out with Ibuka in there. And it's because on the Tampa side, there's a lot going on, man. It could be, like I said, a 3-headed running back room. You've got Ibuka that stands out, yes, but then you still have Tez and the rest of the receivers. You have Cade Otton. It's way more of a McBride with Brissett situation where it's going to be those guys that come together and then whatever lands on the other side. Some of those builds will have Ibuka, some would have Tez Johnson, some will have different factors, but I think that's going to be the way I'm looking at it. It just seems interesting that not many people are going to it. And maybe it's because of your point, Title, on if it does slow down a little bit and they want to run the ball a bit more, it is possible they could get away with that. And then just the short catches over the middle, Wilson, McBride on the other side, Ibuka, Ottens of the world, those can really just speed the game up and run that clock down quickly. So I'm going to have to get something to set it off and get some scoring back and forth to make that happen. All right, let's stay with you here, Title. We got the last of the morning games. If you guys are just joining us or if you've been watching for a minute, do us a favor, tap that thumbs up, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And Title, I'll kick it over to you for the Jags at the Titans.
Jags, Titans. ETN, I think, is pretty strong at 6,500 in a range that not too many will go. Like, Breece Hall will be a lot more popular. He separated from Tootin a good bit last week. Now, was it just ETN look good, the hot hand kind of, or will it stay that way? I'll kind of find out in tournaments at relatively low ownership, plus 100 to score, which is the best in the game. Outside of that, though, like, man, it's kind of tough for me. Like the Trevor Lawrence stuff, now Brian Thomas is back in the mix. Is it Parker? Is it Brian Thomas? Is it like Strange? To be honest, Strange is probably my favorite pass catcher on the Jags just because tight end's not really good. He's 3,700. So I'm fine with that, but I just think there's too many options when I play Trevor Lawrence for him to be up there as one of my favorite quarterbacks. He does have some rushing upside, though. Like I could see him being the winner, scoring 24. I wouldn't be surprised. I just feel like I'd pick the wrong pass catchers to pair him with. And, man, on the other side for the Titans, like, I'll let you guys try and make a case for these guys. Ian Moore, DK, or Helm, like Pollard. I know he has a fine price on FanDuel. You're profitable never playing the Titans ever, so I think that's probably where I'm going.
Well, I got to say this because I get the chat and I'm not against it, but like the thing about it, and you're going to just, if you're playing Cam Ward lineups, you just got to pick your spot and run with it. It got muddied up overnight. Manor and Chig both likely to play. Before that, I understood DK and Helm. And if you wanted to pick Van Jefferson, fine. But they called up Restrepo and things like that. Like everything sets up as a good spot. I think Nade's just said it in the chat about ETN on the run back. Sure. So I'll just set it up like Ward, DK, and Helm and hope those other guys just didn't get reps and stay out of it. But if I'm trying to build a bunch of lineups, well, it's an extremely affordable version of it. It's not that much different from a stack certainty perspective of what I used to make fun of with Mahomes, because it's like you're literally trying to get the running backs, DK, Manor, Van Jefferson, Restrepo, Helm, Chig. Like they're all cheap, sure. But if you're just stacking it up in one spot, how are you going to know who it is? So it's going to piss you off when it's the other guy because they're all right around the exact same price that you could have had instead. Hoop, what do you got for thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I struggle with it. Like, that's probably what you want to do in this one because it's going to be hard to nail it down. I mean, for Trevor Lawrence, the Trevor Lawrence side of things, like, I don't know. It's just to me more of like a 150 play because I don't want to build Trevor Lawrence lineups and try to guess what's going to happen. I feel like that would be the case. Like, could it be Brian Thomas? I mean, it hasn't been at all this year, but it could be. Could it be Jacoby Myers? Could be. Could it be Parker Washington? Maybe. Strange, like Title said, probably his favorite. Could be him. Like, I don't know. So to me, it's more of a 150 play. I'm playing 150, so I will have some of it and just a little bit of each, but I have no idea. And then, like, I think ETN's fine. This strikes me as a Titan spot. Like, I think Titans have a chance to win this game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they, kind of surprise everyone and win this game. Now, what does that do for DFS? I have no idea. I really have no idea. The Titans, like Title said, if you haven't played them this year, it's been the right move. Like, there's been, I don't even know of the slate where you needed a Titans guy. And I'll continue to just play it like that. And they have more guys now, like, involved. I mean, they have 2 running backs, they have 2 tight ends, they have all these wide receivers. I'll have little exposure to this game. Jaguars in the 150, but that's about it.
We just get the no, I didn't see it pop up, but the chat was talking about the Warren stuff. We already knew about that one. One thing I would say, this could be I probably won't do this, but I'll say it because maybe it'll win somebody else the money. Is if you really want that, and again, by the way, this could be Ward, this could be Tyler Shuck, or whatever you say his name. Like, it could be any of these guys. It could be Stroud you do this with. But I think there's actually a way, if you went with this game and just played Cam Ward and ETN and move on and take all your, Ward can rush too, by the way, but if he gets you those points, why are you trying to figure out, even if you ran 150 lineups, you might not get the combo of DK, Manor, all the stuff that got muddied up overnight with these guys coming back in. You could just play Ward and ETN and say that's 2 really good plays in this game. They're affordable. They make everything else work. I like them better. That could also be, like I said, the Saints. That could be the Texans, whoever you want to use the quarterback for. Instead of trying to figure it out, you could definitely just do that and move on. And there's an expensive quarterback we'll talk about that later with as well. All right, Title. Afternoon games, man. We'll kick them off here. We got the Vikings at the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker, the Seattle D, both looking to be pretty popular. JSN, who you talked about earlier, will get some ownership, but I would expect it to be less than Puka. What's your thoughts here on this game with the Seahawks at home, big boy favorites, and a pretty good team total that goes with it?
Yeah, I mean, sign me up for this one. There's obviously concern that the Vikings are just terrible like they have been, can't push anything. We've still seen the Seahawks and some of these guys get there, though, when that's the case. Kenneth Walker will be very popular, I think rightfully so, 5,300. Plus 130 to score, which isn't great. It is concerning because Charbonnet is like their goal line guy, it almost seems. Kenneth Walker does a lot of the dirty work. Sharp gets his easy ones. He's a little more favored to score at plus 110. I don't think you're playing Charbonnet on a main slate to leverage off of it. I think it's probably more of an afternoon play if you go that way. But just not playing Kenneth Walker or playing the passing game. Like, I'm playing Sam Darnold today. I played him last week in the skinny too with JSN. I know we talked about it. He's always so low owned, and it's so easy to play him because you just can play JSN because he can have 200 of the yards. And now AJ Barner, like, he's definitely overtaken Arroyo. Seems almost like ahead of Cooper Kupp on the target tree. I like him. He's cheap. He's pretty low owned in a game I like. So I can play Darnold revenge game. Maybe they push it a little bit. They want to get him 300 plus. they want to absolutely own them. If they want to do that, I think it's really easy to do so. Playing with JSN and or Barner, and you're good there. If you're not playing the passing game, you play Kenneth Walker, you play Seahawks defense, like you mentioned at the top. I know that will be popular, but get different in other builds. Play a Cam Ward team and do that or something like that. So couldn't imagine playing a Vikings player if you're only playing a few teams. I think the Seahawks individual pieces are very strong, though.
Man, never such a negative stance on your boy JJ over there. You couldn't even imagine.
Couldn't imagine clicking that name right now, unfortunately. He's costing me a lot this year. I'm free rolling from best ball forever, but I could not imagine clicking that name right now.
It's been a bad season, super frustrating for him. And obviously it sucks when you're that good and you just can't look who your quarterback is right now. So just very tough scene for those Vikings right now. And now going into Seattle, going to be a tough one. Hoop, your thoughts on this game, Seahawks at home versus the Vikings?
Nothing really to add. Like, Kenneth Walker is going to be popular. Like, sure, I'll have some. They're projected to score almost 4 touchdowns, around 28. So I'll have some. Am I thrilled with it? No. Like, if you go like overweight, what's going to happen. Like, Charbonnet is going to come in there and get his ass at like the 3-yard line and score a touchdown. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. I'm going to play some Walker, but like I agree with title Sam Darnold. I'm going to have Sam Darnold. It's just because it's like he's going to be low owned. The pairing. You don't need to get cute. You don't need to get fancy. It's Darnold and JSN. You don't need a run back, and you can get the hell out of there. Like JSN isn't going to be over the top popular. Yes, he's going to get a standard ownership, but Darnold's going to get like no ownership. So it's easy to play it that way. Barner, if you want, like definitely good with Barner. And then it's nothing else. And I'm just not clicking anything on the Viking side. And great advice from an uncle. Saved your nephew some cheese here. That is the correct play. Don't play this Browsmer guy. Play the Seahawks defense instead. Great advice.
And there's so many like $4,600 quarterbacks or $4,500 quarterbacks, things like that you could play anyway. So you can find that $500. Title, I know you got the core up on the site, so I don't got to give away the whole lineup, but do you think I guess the better way for me to frame this up, do you think people are making him a priority, or do you think JSN comes in much lower owned still, even in cash?
Yeah, no, I don't think he's with Puka 500 less and I don't think he's a priority, but obviously a play that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I wrote this. Well, I'm writing it down, but I mentally had wrote it down, and now I'm writing it. Actually, what Hoop just made me think of is like a mix of both your guys' thoughts. But if you just played like Darnold with JSN with Barner, no run back, it's still less than playing that Stafford game and fitting all 4 of them, or even with expensive Stafford, with expensive, and Parkinson and Barner are the same thing. Like you're just picking the guy, hoping that they get a touchdown today and whatever else they can pick up along the way. But to your point, it might be more secure for a guy like Barner, and then you don't have to fight for the 2-3 touchdown guys of like the Kyron Williams, the Corums, the Adams, those guys that come in and steal them that way. So again, Walker makes the most sense. Charbonnet, I get, will be what worries people there, but Walker on paper looks great for a team like Hoop said, scheduled to score 4 touchdowns almost at home. But if you're not going with that, and you still want to be in on this game, I think you should. You can definitely get in a different way and play like the Darnold stack, not need to run it back and just move on and save some cheese from the other spots that you're at. So yeah, I like that call. All right, Hoop, I'm going to go back to you here. It is the Chargers at home versus the Raiders, and it's a similar spread, similar team total for the Chargers at home as what the Seahawks are, but always a little bit trickier to figure out with the way their team sets up. But, got some injuries, things like that you can go off of. What are you doing here?
Yeah, this reminds me of what game did we just talk about? The Jacksonville game on the Jacksonville side where, like, with Herbert, like, I want some Herbert, but, like, who is it? Is it Vlad? Is it Quentin Johnston? Is it Keenan Allen? Is it Gadsden? Is it Vidal? They'll throw to Vidal too. So similar take, but I'll have more of it. Whereas I want some Justin Herbert in my 150. I'm going to have more Herbert than Trevor Lawrence. But to me, it's just more of a 150 play because if you're hand building, like I just don't want to guess on where it goes. Like I don't want to be in on Herbert and Ladd McConkey, then it goes to Gadsden. I don't want to be on Herbert and Quentin Johnston, then it goes to Ladd McConkey. I don't want to be on one of those combinations, then he throws to Vidal, which he will. My favorite part of the Charger side is definitely Vidal. I thought, once Hampton got ruled out because it sounded like Hampton might play, I figured he would get really, really popular. And it's not the case. Like he's being held in check because of Achane, because of Kenneth Walker. I really like Vidal. I think he's a phenomenal play. Great way to get exposure to the Chargers offense, who, they're right there projected to score 25, 26 points. I want in on the Chargers. My favorite way to get exposure is Vidal. And I think it's a great way if you're hand building just to play him and say, he's going to get a little bit of this offense instead of guessing on the pass catchers. But I will have all those guys in my 150. I think it's a great way to play it in the where you're building a bunch of lineups, I guess. In terms of run backs, I mean, the Raiders are projected to score. I mean, we have a lot of these teams projected to score barely anything, 15 points, 2 touchdowns. Genty's the guy that's getting a decent bit of ownership that I just don't love. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I might play some, but I'm not going to have much Genty. I don't love the spot here for him. Favorite part's definitely Bowers, I guess. But again, I don't know how much I'll have. It'll probably be like right around the field on Bowers, definitely under on Genty. And then, Vidal's definitely, like I said, my favorite part of this game. I'm going to have the most Vidal, and then I'm going to have, the Herbert stuff in my 150.
Yeah, I don't know if my app is busted. Some people are getting some updates that I'm not seeing, but either way, yeah, interesting. What do you think about this spot title? I was just trying to look up also for the props on Vidal, because once the Hampton news came out, obviously that spot looks even better. But what
minus 130 to score and
66.5 rushing, I see.
There you go.
Rushing and receiving, he's almost 80. So yeah, it's interesting. What is your takes on this spot then? Because I guess this is one where I'm thinking about just overstacking it if I'm playing it. I will say it's like every time we try and make Herbert work, it does not work. I know the O-line has been an issue for them, but it's like that's the whole point. It's it's not how often you're right. It's how much you make when you are right, to your point, title. And this is definitely the spot for that, because if you do get the stack right in this spot, but I don't know, it's still pretty tricky overall. But that's where I'd be using Genty and Bowers as kind of pushing back on making the Chargers stack go. So that's how I'd be looking at it.
Yeah, it's who bet it? Like, I agree. Like, his take similar to the Jags game with just a lot of pieces, but it's hard for me to see this game not scoring, like someone really not getting there. So I'm going to embrace the game, even though like picking who is tough. The thing with also Vidal, like he's going to get some ownership. So if you are playing Herbert stuff, you can leverage the Vidal ownership. Gadsden's going to be owned, but playing Herbert is a way to like make it a little less owned. That's actually my favorite way to go about this is Herbert, Gadsden, and then probably McConkey. People are asking like QJ, Keenan. It seems like it's finally back to last year where Ladd's his favorite target. But I mean, I could argue Gadsden might even be his favorite target. Big body, middle of the field, no competition. He's going to be owned. There's no doubt about that. But he has plenty of big boy upside. And people were asking about 2 tight end builds earlier in the show. You can play Bowers, Gadsden. Like, there's by no means would I X out 2 tight end builds today. Outside of Trey McBride, they're still cheap. I think Brock Bowers is a really good play. 100+ point upside or yard upside, should be trailing, throwing the ball a lot. And Genty, the nice thing about him is just the pass catching work the past 2 weeks. That's why the projection has crept up. 8 targets the past 2 games. Even if they are in a trailing game script, you can get dump offs, and that makes a lot work. So I can play Vidal, Bowers, Vidal, Genty, Herbert, Gadsden, McConkey, pick a run back between the two. There's just so many ways to go about this game in a dome. Chargers implied for a lot of points. No Hampton, which was big. O-line a little concerned, which I've been beat up on Vidal so much this year. I keep wanting to make him work. He's minus 130 to score. He's a fine play, but I honestly think I prefer the passing attack more.
Yeah, I like that call on the Bowers with Gadsden. Specifically just because it's a way. At least on the stone, it's a way more likely combo to come through if you were getting to the 2 tight end. And people are talking about the new OC for the Raiders and whatnot. If they just go with the guys that actually should work, like Bowers and Genty and that sort of thing, that can make it move. And then you've got Bowers with Gadsden on the other side. You could have Ladd, QJ, both of them mixed with him. Like you could have a triple stack with Herbert with Bowers on the run back. I think on FanDuel, you can overstack it quite easily as well based on the pricing. So yeah, I think it's a good spot to take chances on. Remember, like that's the thing about this slate. If you don't love it, you don't have to go crazy with it. You can keep your volume in check, but it would be really hard to just play one lineup this week. So I know those out there. I mean, we had the Leverage Lane show yesterday. We talked about sort of what we're doing with that, but man, it's definitely a slate I want to have, my portfolio and play for. And that's always the case anyway, but just noting it feels much better to be able to attack these spots and just play them for what they are and hope that I get something right where one of them comes through. And then within that, hurdle or pile of lineups, you're hoping that it's, multiple shots and then the one piece comes through and gets you the W at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm excited for this slate based off of that. One more game to go. If you're just joining us or if you've been following along, do us a favor. Make sure to tap that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Title, I'll go back to you to finish off the slate here, and then we'll go to Hoop after that. We got the Bills at the Steelers. Josh Allen, we didn't talk about many expensive quarterbacks because there's not many. Need ceilings on this slate to get the job done. He could be one of those guys if we see one of those games again from him. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, another guy got wrong all year. Been off almost the whole time. Then I jumped on for like 2 weeks in a row. Jumped off for his 40-piece game. I'm off here. It seems like a really tough spot. Going into Pittsburgh, he's without one of his tackles. He has zero weapons. Like, to be honest, Coleman, I hope's inactive for his sake. Coleman is dust. All of these guys that he's going to are dust. Steelers pretty tough. I think the best way is James Cook, and I am interested in James Cook, actually. You raise your hand or what?
Yeah, it just came up. Keon Coleman, Brandon Cooks expected to be active.
Yeah. James, wow. Couldn't imagine being the Bills owner, like GM or whatever, having Josh Allen, all this, and that's who you're running out at receiver. Just James Cook, though. They're more of a run funnel, and he's minus 105 to score. It's 83.5 on the ground, but more importantly, it's Achane is the next highest price after James Cook. 8-3 Achane, 7-6 James Cook, 7K Bucky Irving. He's just in a completely dead zone. They're going to go Achane, and from there, they'll probably go lower. So 2 touchdowns, 100 yards on the ground at 8% or whatever. You can play him with Achane. I think that's my favorite way to go about it. DK Metcalf, I never hate. Shakir, fine, with no one else really around him. But, yeah, not a game I'm going to be on very much.
Yeah, there's going to be late swap opportunities on this slate because of this. It's the second last. There's 2 games at this exact time between the Chargers, the Raiders, the Bills, Steelers. So you can set it up that way to be able to have outs of, switching it around or doing what you want to do. But Hoop, how are you thinking about this last game with Josh Allen going into Pittsburgh? Rodgers, by the way, what was the injury they're talking about? Is like broken bones and
broken
stuff.
Bones in his left hand. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one. Again, I think the main point on the slate, you kind of touched on it. It's like you want to have multiple lineups today. So if that means dropping down stakes and playing more lineups, I would definitely do it. Like if you're someone that builds 10 lineups and you play in the 20, I'd find a way to like go down and play like 40 lineups. You play less, the contest that costs less to get in, where you can play more lineups if you feel comfortable doing that, just because it's just really hard to pinpoint a lot of these games and these teams and stuff today. With that being said, I will have some Josh Allen. Look at how shitty this slate is. Josh Allen goes out and gets 30. Like he could be needed today. Like these other spots could just be landmines all over the place. And Josh Allen still has got the 40-point upside. So I am playing him in my 150. Again, it's the same situation I keep talking about. If I'm hand building a team, it's not going to include Josh Allen. But if I'm playing a bunch of lineups, I am going to include some Josh Allen. Shakir is definitely his most trusted receiver. I guess the only bit of news that we're really waiting on is Dalton Kincaid, and we're not going to have it. I don't think it's super impactful for this slate. It's not like if Kincaid's out, like we have to jam in Dawson Knox, but that is the one spot that's up in the air on the slate. I do agree with the James Cook has to get squeezed, with Achane up there and the other spends, and then everyone else like below him. He's got to get squeezed. Good way to get exposure. Steelers defense has been very vulnerable. And then on the Steelers side, DK Metcalf, I'll definitely have some. And I don't mind playing the Darnell Washington. And honestly, I think it's even more just for like entertainment purposes. Like there's a different, it hits different when you have that guy on your roster and like he gets the football and just starts running dudes over. Like it's just such a good feeling. So I'll play him just for that reason.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the other news we're still waiting on in that it's just Kincaid, but also I think Palmer, which now I thought he's going to be good for sure, but now like they're going to say it's for sure that you're going to have Keon Coleman. And what was the other guy I just said? Maybe I said Palmer in that statement. Let me look that up again. Oh, it was Brandon Cooks. Yeah, remember they dropped Elijah Moore and then went and got Brandon Cooks.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I think that's interesting. What about the Warren versus Gainwell situation? Did I miss that?
Probably just one to avoid. I don't know. I mean, let me see if I don't even think I got any. I'll look this up just to.
Yeah, we might as well.
I got like a little bit of Warren. Like now that Gainwell's more involved, it's definitely not as fun. I don't know. I guess for the most part, I'm just dodging that situation.
Much more expensive version than the Ward JSN ETN example I gave earlier. But I guess if you had like Allen and Gainwell, it'd be like, that's what you need, someone from that side to set it off and get it rolling. The game that Allen smashed was the Bucks, right? It was Sean Tucker or whatever, just went off on the other side. Not that you would need him. I'm just saying here you could actually get to Gainwell or Warren. I just would expect it would probably be Gainwell in that flow that does something that speeds the game up, that then makes it so Allen got to go and start doing his thing. But I think it is interesting to play Cook. Title, you really nailed that spot, and the Stone likes it too. And I don't know if his ownership will even be in the double digits. We'll have to wait and see. But the key is like the matchup is through the air. That's what people are going to focus on. But when you're in Pittsburgh like this, I think the key is just to try and focus on just run the ball, move it, get it rolling. That's when we see Cook have these explosive spots. And if you're talking about a guy that can have 2 touchdowns on the slate, we see what his projection is. We see what the ceiling is. His yardage props, everything but his touchdown prop, are kind of similar to those of like JT on this slate for way less, for 7,600. So I definitely think that's an interesting play that you could go to there that just would set your lineups up differently, where you could still get that. If you had something like again, I don't know, it should fit with tons of the cheap stacks we talked about, but if you had something like a James Cook, ETN with Achane, like that's 3 really good backs. That's not Walker and Hall and some of those other guys. And you can stack it with whatever cheap stack you like the best to maybe make it work. That would be all running backs that are capable of 2+ touchdowns, just like that. If your stack hits, I know it's a big if, but if it does, that would be something that starts to make that really help you in these tournaments, especially on a slate that could be a lower scoring slate. So I do think that's another interesting way to look at it. And by the way, every time we've said low scoring slate, I definitely put the probability of this one being up there more accurate, but I don't think we've seen it yet where we've actually we're like, oh, lower scoring afternoon, 250 needed, like just craziness. But should be a bit different this week 13. Hoop, anything to add on that stuff?
That's a good point. I mean, there's no guarantees. I mean, all it takes is a couple spots to absolutely nuke, and then it's now a high scoring slate. So I do agree with your point there for sure. Like, don't assume that it's going to be this way. Yes, it looks somewhat ugly, but again, it just takes a few spots to explode, and then we're back into high scoring territory again.
Hopefully it's a high scoring slate, because your leverage plays and moves that we've talked about throughout the show and how you can play are what made it that way for you. But yes, it could just be one of those situations. Congrats to our boy, Mark F. Millie making Mark from a couple years ago now. He had another big win in the NBA streets last night. So congrats to him. He says, are you saying I have to move off one lineup to more today? You can afford it, my friend. So I recommend indulge. Maybe it's the holiday weekend still. So enjoy it, man. I hope you're having a good one. That win last night should definitely help. Thanks to you and all your support. We appreciate you and the rest of the community. Title, anything else you want to add, or anything else we missed, or sort of just putting thoughts together to round it out?
Not really. I just kind of like when you guys are talking, like if it's a high scoring slate, I would kind of try, and if you do think it's the case, I think that could narrow a good amount of spots. Like if it's a high scoring slate, and again, watch me jinx everything, but like I don't think it's going to be Tyrod. I don't think it's going to be Shuck. I'm not sure it's going to be, I guess, Cam Ward. You know what I'm saying? Maybe at the end of the day. But if you're telling me it's a high slate right now, I'm probably condensing my quarterbacks to like 4 or 5. And I'm just playing like Trevor Lawrence, or I'm playing, or not, Trevor Lawrence can get there, Justin Herbert, or Matthew Stafford, or Tua, like guys that can put up, or teams that can put up 30 plus. I think with the 45.5 total is the highest. Like I think those spots where individual teams scoring more than 4 touchdowns, again, it's Sunday, random stuff happens. We see it all the time. But I think on this slate that those teams would go down compared to a normal Sunday for me. So I don't even know if that made sense, but good luck to everyone out there.
I know how you're thinking about it. I guess my flip side of it, that kind of, it's not worrisome because I know how I'm building and pushing towards this edge, but like my thought is that the edge would be in the running backs. Like if you're not as high on Breece Hall, if you're not as high on Kenneth Walker III, or if any of those situations scare you or whatever it might be, I would be, again, it's going to be hard because you'll need a stack that's affordable, that has some certainty probably, or doesn't, which makes it even riskier. But you're going to have to push in on guys like Williams for the Rams, or for McCaffrey, or JT, or who do we talk about at the end there? ETN, Cook, those guys. If you can push those guys in and end up getting 2 touchdowns from all of them, that's where you typically will see it come from. And we always say, like, chalk running backs usually just like, chalk pitchers in the MLB DFS streets, where you're like, oh, it feels a lot better. It does. But on weeks like this where it might not feel as good, it's still to say that the running backs are more likely to get the guaranteed workloads, the ability to get it. Doesn't mean guaranteed touchdowns or yards, but we want carries. We want the ball in hand. That's what I'm going to be hoping on. And that's where, again, can Cook get crushed by all the Josh Allen with Shakir stacks? Yeah, he can. But I would be fine with him at 7,600, knowing what he does for the lineup and what his capability is. So playing for more of those ceilings is where I think it's going to happen. And that's where you'll still have to get the stack right. And it's pretty tricky on this slate. But I think that's going to do it, Hoop. Anything else you want to add there? If not, what do we got? Anything else on the go?
The one thing I was just going to add, and we kind of all hit on it a little bit, where this is a slate for sure where I want more lineups. So if you have to drop down in stakes and have the ability to play more teams, that's definitely something I would recommend today. There's a lot of spots that look like they could be good, but they're not like slam dunk spots like we talked about with Jacksonville. Yeah, they could score a lot, but how are they going to score a lot? Same with like the Chargers. They could score a lot today, but like there's so many different ways it can happen. So I'd be looking to play more lineups today if possible. That'd be my kind of last piece of advice. But good luck to everyone out there. Solid slate, big prize pools all around the industry, and let's get those Ship It Nation logos to the top of the leaderboard.
Man, this is I can't tell, but then I remembered our beats conversation the other day. So this is a Hoopster fan, because he says, even on the crab slate, you guys are the beats of DFS info. I thought he meant like you have the best DFS info, but he says even on a crab slate, you have to lead this into being a positive thought. And your take on beats the other day.
Love beets, pickled beets, not the regular one. I need a little pickle flavor to them though.
the pickle beets. Any new food takes? Any takeaways off the weekend, boys? Now that we're at the end, it's the thanks. You nailed it. We got everybody excited. But any food takes title off the holidays? Anything good or exciting happen?
I was doing my lineups, and then I got out before the game started, and I guess wife just took something out of the oven, so the roof of my mouth was burned like 2 seconds into Thanksgiving, and that was fun. Yeah.
Oh man, that's bad. Actually, that's the worst case scenario when you're just getting started on everything and the first bite rolls. What about you, Hoop? How was the pasta bar?
Very good. So had a couple Thanksgiving events and had 0 turkey. So it was a good Thanksgiving overall. But yeah, it was fun. In terms of the food takes, did I eat anything like different? No, we had the pasta thing. My mom's mint pie was spectacular, like always. Nothing too crazy, but 0 turkey. So I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah, you got away with it then. That's nice. Everyone sort of must be in on your take now. Then the whole world's moving away from it, right? They're trying different things.
That's brutal. I thought it was going to be bad for me.
Oh, my bad.
Oh gosh, that would not be a fun day to figure that one out.
I'm trying out some new stuff, especially not seafood orientation when it's going to be Thanksgiving and a holiday or something like that. It's like, you're going to wait for that one. But unfortunate news. I'm sorry to hear that, bro, man. That's not good. Our man Kyle Go Collects it. Today is the one day. Look, if you can only play one lineup, just play to win. Don't play all the same shit everybody else is playing. Just pick your lane. Like we talk about on Leverage Lane and even on this show, just pick your spot, roll with it, and play an affordable amount, an amount that's comfortable, I should say, to you, something you can afford to lose, and play to win. Like that, if you can only play one, there's still a way to do it, but just know that this is a slate where it's like you could be on the right game, the wrong spots. You can be on all different factors that come into play. So I think that's important to remember as you're out there building your lineups. All right. Sushi. Yeah, sushi's good. Hoop, are you a sushi guy? Did we have this one before?
Yeah, I'm sure people shit on me for this too. I'll eat sushi, but I just do the basic stuff, man. I do like the California roll. I'm not doing like the raw fish and that sort of thing. Like I'll eat it, but it's got to just be the basic stuff. So I'm sure people will have an issue with that too.
He's a sushi roll, no sashimi guy. Yeah, he's not going to be
California roll. Just that. Nothing crazy.
Said my grandpa had a side of beets on his plate with every single meal.
They're very heart healthy. Very good for your heart.
You know what I'm surprised, Hoop, is that you don't grow. Maybe you do, and I just don't know about it. I've been to your place, but what, like, are you a garden grower? You're always out in the yard anyway. Like, maybe you should start growing some veggies out there.
No, but funny you did say you do mention because Mrs. Hoop, like, we've done like little things. Like she did like potted strawberries, like nothing like in the ground. But I told her, I said, I'm always out there grinding the yard work. I said maybe we should put some stuff out there next year, like get a little fenced in area on the side of the house. So maybe next year I'll keep you updated on that. But I wouldn't mind growing something.
Yeah, it makes sense. Green thumb Hoop out there. You're already out there.
Right?
Sprinkle a little dash of water. You're a healthy guy. You want your salads. You want your stuff. You can put all kinds of different things in the soil out there. Title's just laughing. Everyone's laughing at him laughing.
Hoop out there and do gardening. That was funny in my mind. Trying to picture that.
He's seen him with like the apron on. He's not. I ain't out here to barbecue. I'm out here to sprinkle some water on my green peppers. Out here growing beets. Yeah. Out there with a shotgun defending his garden next year, they said.
That could be that definitely could be the case.
New company incoming, 8 Mile Veggies.
Yeah, start slinging some veggies on the side. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
All right. We appreciate you guys. I think
what is that? That's a mascot?
I never heard of that.
That's a tough one. The Beet Diggers. Who you guys playing tonight?
I see a picture of. Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's the mascot.
Taking down the Beet Diggers tonight.
Hoop terms. That's a good one. And G. Risen's the mascot.
I was just going to say, G. Risen would have to be involved in that one for sure.
Yeah, G. Risen's safety is running it.
Did you guys have any? Last thing, Hoop. Michigan State Championship. Was there any good high school football for you guys this year?
Follow
it at all?
Yeah, I followed it a little, but they had to change all the times. I think it's actually today because for some reason, they do it at Ford Field, and for some reason they had the Michigan State Maryland college football game at Ford Field that nobody went to last night. Like they were like trying to give tickets away. So that's like last night's the day they usually do the state championship games. So I think it all got pushed back to today so they could have Michigan State Maryland football at Ford Field yesterday.
That's a week later than ours. That's late, but obviously it's indoors. So nice.
Yep.
All right. I think we covered it. So we're good to roll. Everybody, good luck today. Hopefully you have a good week 13. Got a ton of action in play. If you want to join Ship It Nation, we talked about it earlier, but the promos are still on. They are extended for the holiday weekend. So those will be good until Monday. Other than that, wish you guys the best of luck for Title, for Hoop, and for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.